Alrighty, let's go ahead and get into this review here. So it was another really good day today. I made $289 today from 3 trades. One trade on BIVI for $169, a second trade on BTAI for a small winner of $46, and a third trade on DKDCA for a moderate winner of $73. I took a 1/4 size on this trade, so this was actually a really good trade considering. Now, compared to yesterday was very slow for me. I know some people were still able to trade. They had their setups they were looking for, but with what I was looking for, at least, I wasn't seeing the elements that I look for. And after taking a trade, and I felt like I was maybe not taking the best setup, I was like, okay, let's just take the rest of the day off, regroup. Today doesn't look like it's the best day to trade anyway. We'll come back tomorrow, and that's what I did here. And today was like really good. So actually, let me go ahead and go to the prep just so I can talk about what I was seeing. So yesterday, like I said, I was seeing almost nothing I was looking for. It felt like all the setups weren't very good quality. But today was like a complete night and day shift because while there was almost nothing yesterday moving pre-market, I noticed that there were like several movers on my scanners. Some of them were gapping up over 100%, which is huge. And I did notice there were some SPACs moving. I noticed it yesterday too. There was like 2 SPACs that were showing up, and today a couple more SPACs showed up. Yeah, I noticed 1 or 2 yesterday. Yeah, and this might be a transition now to where we're starting to see SPACs come into play again. This might be the start of a shift from biotech into SPACs, because I know biotech for the last maybe 3 weeks now has been the dominant force, so be really curious to see if this SPAC movement continues to increase going forward in the next couple days. But yeah, let's go ahead and actually review the trades now. The trades happened in the order that they're listed here, so we'll just go through them all. So to start, we had BIVI. Let me go ahead and pull it up here. BIVI. Okay. And this was one I was watching pre-market. It had sold off really hard, but I was looking at the daily, and I felt like the stock doesn't make super huge moves on a frequent basis, and there was no major news catalyst for it. So I figured if this did sell off, which it did, I didn't think there was much justification for continuing downward, especially after the massive pullback that it had already made. So with that in mind, I figured this would be a good opportunity to try and buy a bounce on some kind of support or bottoming tail or whatever you would call it. And I managed to get that here, and I actually got the timing extremely well. I timed it 1 penny from the bottom, which is actually crazy. I did consider adding, however, I didn't really get an opportunity to. When I bought at $284, I figured because this is half priced, this would be normally something I would add to on a normal kind of basis, but there were 2 things that went against it here. First of all, it was a slow day yesterday, and in my head I'm thinking, I kind of want to get back into the groove a little bit. I don't want to try and be overly aggressive. So that made me hesitate for a little bit. And that little bit of hesitation for just 2 seconds or so was the only opportunity I had to add. And after that, it goes straight to 290. And it never really dropped below 290 again. I think it did it like once here. But at that point, I felt like it would be starting to chase if I was adding. And this strategy, because it's usually like a bounce strategy, I don't like to chase unless I feel extremely confident in the setup. Now, with that said, there's something I talked about it before, and I think I do need to start working on it now because it's going to become an issue later, which is my sizing. So right now I'm at 900 shares, which is still manageable. I can still enter in a single block and exit in a single block. The volume is high enough to where I can usually do that. However, there's going to come a point, if I'm going to keep sizing up, there's going to come a point where it's going to become difficult to enter and exit in a single position because my size is going to become so big, I'm actually going to start to move the price with my orders. And I'm not quite there yet with most high liquidity stocks, but there's some lower liquidity ones where I am starting to notice that I budged the price of the stock a few pennies by my orders, or I have the potential to, which to me suggests I need to start doing what I did here, which was selling in blocks, right? So I bought at 900 at 284. I sold half at 298, which was my price target. And I did hold because at this point I'm realizing, right? I've had 5 minutes to watch it, and it's clear I've timed the bottom of this. So to me, I thought I could squeeze a little bit more out of it, and I did squeeze a little bit more out. I got at 307 the exit. The high was 312. Yeah, about 312. So I was 5 pennies from the top, 1 penny from the bottom. So honestly, this was an absolutely amazing trade. I'm really impressed that I was able to get it this close. I guess I just got really lucky. But yeah, this was a really good trade. I'm going to, at some point, start messing with these block orders more. Granted, block orders are kind of if I'm in control and I can take a safe exit. If things start turning against me, I still think it may, even though I might get slippage and I might end up getting a somewhat bad fill, marketing out still is probably going to be the best situation if things turn against me. Just try and get out of the loser as fast as possible, even if it means I take a slightly larger loss. Yeah, that's my thoughts on that. But yeah, really good trade. Let's go ahead and move on to the next one. Next trade was BTAI. So we got BTAI here. This one was a gapper. It was one of the leading gappers, pre-market. I think it was the second biggest. It showed a lot of kind of like indecision around this area. Looked like it might want to go up. Looked like it might want to go down. I was watching it after I was noticing it was pressuring this level quite a lot. And yeah, pre-market, I didn't have it marked here. I wasn't really sure where exactly I wanted to enter. I noticed there was a lot of contention around this area. So I thought that could be a good level, but at the same time, I wasn't so sure because there's no like very clear level. It looks like almost a zone, right? You got like kind of a bit of a zone here, really, more than anything, right? Something like this. So it's not really a level, more of a zone. So instead of using an actual level or zone, I was mostly just looking, okay, the price has pulled back quite a lot. Let me see stabilization and see some kind of indicator of a reversal to look for a bounce. And at around this area, price, right, the selling pressure had stopped. It was kind of flatlining, and I saw a 10,000 share buyer on the bid. And to me, that was enough conviction to take a long. But as the volume didn't really follow through and the price didn't really push up in the way I wanted it to, I ended up bailing for just a slight profit here. I think my initial price target was like 295. But I didn't, it just didn't really crack 90. I think it went to 91. But yeah, it didn't get to the level I wanted, and I wasn't seeing the follow through I wanted. So I ended up just bailing for a slight profit there. Pretty good trade considering this wasn't the best setup. But yeah, I think this one was probably one of the lower quality, just in terms of like entry. So maybe I should have sized down. Well, maybe not though, because yeah, I think this is about right, because the volatility was not too high. So even though I took a larger size on a less optimal setup, I don't think it really hurt me too much. Even if it would have went against me, I probably wouldn't have had more than like $100, $150 loser. So I think this was probably fine, actually. All right, so last trade, DKDCA. DKDCA. Right, so this one. And this was a stock I had been watching for probably the first 2 hours of the trading day. So this was one I wanted to trade. I had been wanting to trade it because it was just so volatile. And it was just, there was such a clear area of support, like, and this one I was watching the zone, right? So it's a pretty big zone, but about this entire zone is what I was watching for some kind of reaction or bounce there. I wanted to see an overreaction sell to that area, to a bounce from that area. And, right, the first time I was like getting ready to buy here, I had 2 orders somewhere around here. but the price opened and it continued back up, so I didn't get filled there. I saw it do this massive candle down into a halt, so thinking, okay, maybe this will cause it, but no, it held up. But then this final third one, it did finally capitulate and collapse, and I did get my entry. However, I want to go ahead and zoom in here for this. A couple things to note. Because this thing has been extremely volatile and the price is a little bit higher, I sized down and only took 1/4 size because if I took 900 shares in this, it's very realistic I could lose over $1,000. So I had to size down here, mitigate risk. And I was aiming for about 835 to 850 for my price target, considering how volatile this was. But considering, as I was holding, the volume, you can see down here, just completely dried up. And whenever we had this pop, I was actually getting ready to sell at 8 for just a very small profit because the volume was just non-existent. And when we did get this pop, I ended up just selling for, I tried to sell for 823, but got a tiny bit of slippage because the spread is so big, and I ended up getting 819. Honestly, probably wise to get out. The setup looked really good initially, right? You had a massive sell-off from 1350 all the way down to 786. So 50% pullback, which is massive. But not seeing that volume and not seeing that follow through was a red flag, and I do think I made the correct decision getting out for this small profit that I did. It could have easily turned against me. Another 7 minutes later, it did end up having this correction, and I would have went from like $70 in the green to maybe like 100 in the red if I would have got out somewhere around here. So yeah, definitely good to get out. I think it was a great attempt because, again, this thing just pulled out like crazy hard to the downside. So I don't regret trying the trade. I think I did the best I could with it. And if I take this setup enough times, I'm sure I will eventually hit something good. But yeah, that's basically more or less my trades for the day. And with all this said now, if you did like the content you saw here, you found it maybe educational a little bit, if not just entertaining, I would invite you to leave a like and maybe subscribe if you are into seeing these kind of trades more often. I feel like if you're newer to trading, this kind of risk management and these kind of trades can be really informative to someone and help you kind of gauge some of the precautions I take going into trades to try and either mitigate risk or just limit my exposure or just anything to kind of help me contain the losses and let the winners do what they need to do. But yeah, with all that said, I hope you guys have a good rest of your day and take care.